Happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Jennifer Hoff. Just in this afternoon, we now know Hennepin Healthcare is sharing an update on the victims that they're still caring for after the deadly shooting at Annunciation Catholic School. The hospital says 6 people are still in their care and 5 of them are children. 4 of those kids are in satisfactory condition, while 1 is in critical. Another adult in their care is in serious condition right now. And this comes, of course, as we learn more about the 2 lives lost, 8-year-old Fletcher Merkel and 10-year-old Harper Moisky. Harper was 10 years old. Her family says she was bright, joyful, and deeply loved. Fletcher was just 8, and with Annunciation's principal by his side, Fletcher's father shares how he wants to remember his son.
Please remember Fletcher for the person he was and not the act that ended his life. Give your kids an extra hug and kiss today. We love you, Fletcher. You'll always be with us. Fletcher loved his family, friends, fishing, cooking, and any sport that he was allowed to play. While the hole in our hearts and lives will never be filled, I hope that in time our family can find healing. I pray that the other victim's family can find some semblance of the same.
We're also learning about Sophia, a survivor of the attack. Her parish came together to pray for her yesterday. Sophia is out of surgery, but still in critical condition as of last night, according to her priest. We also learned that Sophia's mother is an ICU nurse, and she was actually called into work when the mass casualty calls came in, and then learned later that her daughter was actually among those who had been shot. And new today, we are hearing from another child who was inside Annunciation as those shots rang out. 12-year-old Grayson Singh says initially he thought the pops were balloons, but realized quickly that something was wrong when the windows started shattering.
At first, we were singing a song, and then I just saw glass shattering going down the line, and we were hiding underneath the pews, and I was towards the back of the church and I was by my friends. Thankfully, some of my friends are okay. Some of them got grazed or something.
Now, of course, this kind of violence obviously affects kids pretty deeply. I spoke with a doctor who has 3 tips to help you talk to children about school shootings. Before heading back to class, kids are camped on a corner trying to make sense.
It's sad.
Of a tragedy.
We have 108 so far.
While raising money to fix it.
Super.
Zoe and her brother selling frozen treats a few blocks from where a gunman killed 2 students at Annunciation Church yesterday in South Minneapolis.
We don't have the sprinkled bites. Yeah.
The donations for gun safety groups as people grapple with how to talk to children about another school shooting.
Keep the jeans okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
thank you.
Hey, you guys, thanks for being out here.
It's been a hard few days.
Children's Minnesota psychiatrist Dr. Prachi Stryker giving 3 tips to do right now, starting with creating space.
Create space for them to talk. If your child is kind of hovering around you when you're doing chores, or if they just come up and need a hug, that's okay too.
Second, reiterate it's normal to be scared, and adults are too.
It's okay for us to have emotions too, but it's modeling those emotions for our kids. I'm scared, it's okay to be scared, and it's okay for you to be scared, and here's how we're gonna get through it together.
Third, look for leaders and identify the resources they put in place, from crisis plans to emergency drills.
Ask them what they understand about it, ask them what questions they have, and then really just that reassurance that adults are safe people.
For Prachi, protecting children is a priority.
Only a few days till school starts.
Forced to learn some of life's hardest lessons
If
too soon.
there's something that you don't like or that makes you sad or angry, you should probably try to fix it.
There you go.
They were some great kids, too, we got to meet. And there's this. Right now, local and national police departments, as far away as New York, are stepping up security at places of worship out of an abundance of caution. Here in Minnesota, Governor Walz announced he's deploying state law enforcement personnel to support public safety efforts at schools and places of worship. Those 20 personnel include 14 State Patrol troopers and 6 DNR officers. They'll be organized into 2-person squads with 2 squads at each Minneapolis precinct and marked cards. This is State Patrol Colonel Christina Bogoyevich, and we spoke to her about those efforts.
Our concern moving forward is, one, to provide comfort to the community that has went through this and that is going through this, and 2, to ensure that, again, we have a high visible presence around churches and schools, so that if anybody is looking, copycat or anything like that is always a concern.
The colonel says right now the additional departments are stepping in because so many city officers, of course, and the BCA are just so busy with the shooting investigation, and there is no set end date for their presence. We're also learning more today about the shooter from a manifesto that really spewed hate against many groups, idolized mass shooters, and also acted to gain notoriety. Our AJ Legault and our investigative team have been digging into that shooter's background and history.
Within a half an hour of the shooting, 2 pre-scheduled videos appeared to YouTube. The first, an arsenal of bullets and guns, paying ode to other mass shooters. Their names scribbled on the sides. In the second, hands flipped through the pages of what we now know to be Robin Westman's manifesto, written in Cyrillic, using alphabet letters as a code to spell out English words. They tell a story of hate.
I was in the same class with him. It was very devastating.
Josefina Sanchez knew the killer as a child, a fellow student at another Twin Cities Catholic school, St. Agnes in St. Paul.
So I was watching the news, and then they're trying to figure out who it was, and then I seen his picture pop up. And I was like, hey, he looks familiar.
You guys were in 6th grade together.
6th grade and 7th grade.
Josefina knew the shooter as Robert. They appear on the same page of the school's 2014-2015 yearbook. Looking back, she says Westman had what she considered at the time as just odd obsessions.
And he was fascinated with World War II, so that was definitely a red flag.
When you said fascinated with World War II, do you mean Nazis?
Yes, yeah.
Hitler?
Right, Hitler, Nazis. He would salute. Yes, he would salute to Hitler, and definitely do it when the teachers weren't watching, when nobody was really watching, but with his close friends he would.
The manifesto references an obsession with school shootings and violence that dated back to 7th grade. The coded notebooks for Josefina also bring back memories of her classmate.
He would write in code, Morse code, on a sheet of paper, and I didn't know what that was, but it was definitely triggering when I seen the book on the news.
The book filled with anti-Semitic, anti-Christian, anti-minority, political hate.
When I recognized him on the news, I looked back and I was like, there's definitely red flags.
And of course, we're closely following the very latest on the Annunciation Church shooting. For that continuing coverage, stay tuned on air, online, and of course, right here on KARE 11+. Switching gears now, and we want to take a look at New Orleans in Louisiana there this morning, where 20 years ago today, Hurricane Katrina made landfall, leaving behind, of course, a massive path of death and destruction. Katrina came ashore near Grand Isle, Louisiana on August 29, 2005 as a Category 3 storm. Nearly 1,400 people died, and there was more than $125 billion in damage to that city. Priscilla Thompson is in New Orleans with a look at how the city is honoring this dark day.
Yeah, today marks 20 years since Hurricane Katrina, and there are going to be a lot of commemorations on the ground here, a reading of the names of those more than 1,300 people who died as a result of this storm. They're going to be laying wreaths as well, and then they are going to remember in the way that New Orleans does. So the brass band is going to take to the streets here with the people marching behind them in that second line as they honor the lives lost and also think about where they are today. On one hand, we have have seen the tourism industry recover here with a lot of investment in the French Quarter and Bourbon Street. New Orleans even hosting the Super Bowl earlier this year. But you also walk through the hardest hit lower Ninth Ward and you still see a lot of overrun lots. There are doorsteps where no homes are. And so a lot of neighborhoods here, like the lower Ninth, like New Orleans East, that are still recovering today, even 20 years after this storm. Back to you.
Also new today, the minimum tax exemption is over. That rule allowed for global goods worth less than $800 to come into the U.S. duty-free, so no import tax. Most goods shipped internationally are now subject to the tariffs of the country of origin. Those tariff rates affect online sellers like Amazon, Etsy, and Shopify, as well as discount retailers too, like Shein and Temu. So those small package orders might be affected, as some companies are expected to pass off the higher tariff expenses to the consumer. But doing away with the minimum tax exemption is meant to discourage Americans from buying cheap goods overseas and instead incentivize buying American-made items. Earlier this week, several postal services around the world took action in advance of the exemption ending by temporarily suspending shipments to the U.S. And to sports now, Vikings fans, Adam Thielen is officially back. The veteran wide receiver said he thought that the next time he'd be in the building was to sign a one-day contract and then retire. But Thielen is happy to be back at home with family, playing football again in the place where he first became a star.
Just be the best version of myself every single day, wherever that is. I'm going to be committed to that, and I'm excited to work with these receivers. When Jordan gets back, I'm so excited to work with him. And again, at the end of the day, go try to win games and bring Minnesota home what they deserve.
Yeah, what they deserve. The Vikings open the season, if you can believe it, already on September 8th against the Bears in Chicago. Stay with us. We have more news and weather coming up after the break.